Good evening. So far, we're just going to wait a couple minutes to allow people to trickle in. So it might be quiet for a little bit. Good evening for those of you who have joined us so far. We're just waiting to allow some of our families and parents to join us before we get started. Daisy, do you want to jump in and talk about the interpretation button?
Si prefieren que la presentación sea interpretada, por favor oprimen el botón, el globo que aparece en el fondo de su pantalla.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We know we don't have a huge amount of people here because it was an optional meeting tonight just to be able to sit down with me and ask questions about the reopening of school. If you can make sure that as you are listening for this first part, just to make sure that you're muted during the first part of our presentation, and then even during the question answer part until you're called on to speak if you can. The reason for that is to reduce some background noise that might happen. So just would appreciate that. So Thor, go ahead and go to the next slide. So our agenda tonight is fairly basic. I'm just going to do some quick introductions of our team, and then I'm going to do a review of school systems. Most of the stuff that I am going to share tonight is a review if you attended our family transition nights. I'm just going to highlight a couple of things of importance. And then the rest of the evening will be just a question answer time to ask me some questions that you may have, hopefully specifically around the safety and how we're doing things as we reopen. Next slide. So tonight we have a few people here with us. Myself, Jarvis Gomez, the principal. Glad you are here. I have Dinah Christofferson, who's our literacy specialist. Denise Holquist, our head secretary. Christy Corson is our bookkeeper. Alma Salinas Rawls, our attendant secretary. And Daisy Ruiz, our family partnership advocate, are all here to help with some of the questions and so forth. I also interpreting for us tonight is Alessandra Avalos. She's one of our ELD instructional assistants. So thanks, Alessandra, for doing that for us tonight. Next slide. So what to expect when we return to school. And as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be review. I just wanted to highlight a few things as we move forward. Next slide. This is just a quick graphic of our schedule for being in hybrid for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Our A cohort will arrive to school at 7:50. Class starts at 8 o'clock, and they do their learning till 10:50, and then we have a dismissal time at 10:50. Then those students will go home and do some independent work that was assigned by the teacher. Cohort B will be at home in the morning, and they will then arrive to school at 12:05 and do their learning from 12:15 to 3:05, and then be sent home at 3:05 in the afternoon. So that's our schedule for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Next slide. Wednesday, as you know, is staying the same as our current Wednesdays right now. Students will be home on Wednesdays between 8:30 and 9. There'll be a class meeting just like there is right now on Wednesdays until 9 o'clock. And then students will work on independent work for the rest of the day. Next slide, please. I wanted to highlight school ventilation. There's been some questions about the ventilation system at all of our schools in our school district. And I just wanted to highlight a few of the things that have happened to help with ventilation in the schools. The first thing that has happened is they updated all the filters to basically use the highest quality ones that we can in our current system. So that's the first thing they did. The second thing that our district has done is increase the running time of our HVAC system. And HVAC is heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So in years past, before the pandemic, our HVAC system would start probably around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning and be turned off around 4:30, I think. And then the rest of the day, it would just be off basically during the middle of the night. Well, now I would say it's running just about constantly with a short time frame right in the middle of the night where it's not. So it is turned on significantly earlier before kids arrive, and it stays on significantly longer after students leave for school. The reason for this and how HVAC works in school systems, and it's actually different than our homes, is school HVAC pulls from outside air and recycles it back outside. So the air in schools is being recycled in and out, all from outside air. And that's a big deal because it's basically different than how our home systems work, is how I understand it from our HVAC people in our district. So the good news is fresh air is being pulled into our school from outside and not being recycled air inside the school. So those are three of the main things that have happened with our school and the ventilation system. Next slide. And I wanted to go over arrival when students come to school. The bus routes we got this week, and you should have received a survey through email about our transportation system, and so you'll see the bus route in that email. So a parent should have the bus routes. Then we have people that are riding in their car, being dropped off their car. That's very similar to years past. They will drop off students in the regular drop-off spot here at Deer Creek. And in a second, I have a map that will show all of this. And then we have students that walk to school. And we have students that will walk from the main road of 131st. And we have students that will walk from Beef Bend Road that come through the playground down to the school. And I'm not talking a lot about the text that's on the slide because the next slide shows a visual that I want to show you. So Thor, go ahead. I know it's really small, and I apologize, and on your screen it might be even smaller. But what I want you to notice is the top portion of this map is the parking lot, and the bottom portion is the map of the school. So if you look at the top portion, the blue arrows describe traffic flow, and that traffic flow is no different than what we've done in the past here at Deer Creek. I want you to notice in the middle of the screen, that green line, that is the crosswalk where we've always dropped off our students. And if you're driving your students to school, that is exactly where you will drop your student off again. That will not change. And you'll see that Miss Erin, her little name, I know it's small, is right there, and she'll be greeting people. Dinah, who I introduced earlier as our lit specialist, she has a team of people that will be working with her to greet students as they come from the cars and the buses and help the students get to where they need to go to class. And then I want to point out that on the right-hand side, not far right, but more on the right-hand side, you'll see the name Diane. That's Mrs. Wilson, our counselor. She'll be there to greet our students that are walking to school. And then if you go to the far left, you'll see the name D in the orange colored highlight. That's one of our special ed instructional assistants. And she'll be there to greet our students that walk down from the playground that are walking to school. And then our bus system is identical. Buses will be dropped off in the bus lane. And we have grown-ups that will be there to greet our students as well. So that's the drop-off part. The other thing that I want to share is where students will enter the school, because it's different per grade level. And the reason for that is to eliminate the congestion that can happen when students arrive to school. So you'll notice on the school map part of that, we have the classrooms with teachers' names and grades. If you see that, they're the classrooms that are up front in the front of the school closest to the sidewalk. If your student is in one of those classrooms, they will enter the classroom through the outside door. So if you notice where those little red lines are on the map, the student will enter right there into that, and the teacher will greet the student in that door. If your teacher is on the map towards the bottom of the screen, they will enter into the school at different points. So if you are a first grade parent, your student will enter through the gym entrance and be greeted by those two staff members that you see in the peaches color highlight, and then be helped to their classroom. If you're a third grade student, you will enter the main entrance where you see Alma's name in peach, and she will greet our third grade students and help them get to their classroom. And lastly, if you're a fifth grade student, you will enter through the portable gate and then into the doors on the side of the school. And Miss Cookie and Alessandra will greet your students and have them go to class. So the idea is that we have students kind of entering through the whole part of the school, but it's to alleviate congestion. Next slide. Pickup is a little different. From a system standpoint and going through the parking lot, cars will drive the same route. They'll follow those same blue arrows as described earlier. Parents need to stay in their car the whole time to pick up students. We're not going to have people walk to the student to pick them up from our staging areas, and I'll describe that in a second. Our students that are being picked up by the parent will wait under our covered area until they drive up to the pickup area, and then we will have that student walk to the car and then drive safe out. Again, I've got a map on the next slide that describes this much easier. So next slide, please. You'll notice that the map looks almost identical other than where the pickup area is. If you look to the top left of the screen, you'll see where it says pickup in peach, and you'll see Miss Erin's name and Daisy's name right there. Our pickup area is going to be closer to the covered area and on that corner. You'll notice that there's a lot of names over there, and that's just to make sure our kids get to where they're supposed to be and do it safely. From what I understand, the buses should already be at the school early so that they should be lined up and not causing more congestion in our pickup area. So just notice that you're going to pick up your student on the corner of the turn there on the left, not where you dropped off your student. So that's the biggest change. Everything else stays the same. I also want to point out that we will have signs that we will be giving our parents that pick up students that we would like to have posted in their visors. These signs will have the student's name and teacher and grade on it. That makes it much easier for us to identify which student goes to which car. It makes the process go much smoother and quicker. So we ask that you have that. Miss Erin will have those for our parents as they drop off on the first, as they come to school. Very similar to that, when we had our pickup days to pick up materials throughout the year, just having that information handy makes it much easier for us to make that transition. Next slide. Health and safety. This is stuff you've heard probably a lot, is that students will be required to wear masks. There has been a question about whether gaiters are okay. Gaiters are more of the sleeve kind of mask that go over the mouth and nose and then wrap around the neck. Those are okay to have as long as they are doubled up. So the fabric needs to have a double fabric on it. It can't just be a single layer. But you're welcome to use those. Obviously, hand washing is a must. We will be teaching our kids to wash their hands and use hand sanitizer a lot. The social distancing is still 6 feet apart. Those two small pictures you see are indicators for our students that outside you'll see the 2 hoof prints with a circle around it. Those are painted on our sidewalks that are 6 feet apart. And then inside the school, we have blue dots on our carpet that are 6 feet apart as a reminder to help our students stay socially distanced. And then sanitizing the day. Our teachers will be sanitizing between cohorts, and our custodial staff will be cleaning after school. And then on Wednesdays will be more of a deep cleaning during the midweek. Next slide. So this is the question answer time that you probably were hoping just to get to at the beginning, but I wanted to make sure that other information was there. So how this is going to work, if Thor, you could move to the next slide. How we're going to do our Q&A time is, if you look at the bottom of your screen, if you move your cursor around, you'll see the menu at the bottom of your screen. There's 2 ways that we can answer questions. One is you'll see the chat. You're welcome to type your question in the chat, and some of the staff members that are here may answer the question in that chat, or they will kind of save it to the side, and Denise will say, Mr. Gomez, this is a question, will you please answer it? So you can type it in the chat if that's where you feel more comfortable. The other option is you can raise your hand and I can call on you and you can ask your question in person. And depending on the version of Zoom you have, there's 2 ways to raise your hand. The first way is if you look at the bottom of your screen with that menu, it says participants. If you click on participants, you will see the menu of participants that are here. And at the bottom of that menu, it'll say raise hand. And you just click raise hand and I will see that you rose your hand. So that's option 1 of raising your hand. If you have a newer version of Zoom, down there in the menu, it says reactions. If you click on reactions, you'll see that it says raise hand. And you just click on raise hand and then I can call on you. ask that you just stay muted until I do call on you again, just so we can keep the background noise down. And we'll go from there. So the floor is open to the parents. Questions? Got our first one. Question here is it possible to change our pickup and drop off plan if we need to after the first week or two? I'm going to leave that up to Denise to answer that question.
Yes, you can. So just send us an email if it's a permanent change, and then we'll go ahead and change it in the system. Let's say you are doing a parent drop off and pick up and you want to change to bus. Just so you understand, it can take about a week for that to get set up with the bus company. So it won't be able to happen the next day. It'll take a week. If you're going the other way, then it can just happen. The other thing, I guess I'll say a quick note on, if during the day you, instead of riding the bus, you need to pick up your child. We need to have you either send a note with your child or send an email to the Deer Creek parent email address to let us know that you're picking up versus riding the bus, or, or the other way around.
Megan, I think from what I understand your question, I think you're thinking about 2nd through 5th grade for that Monday and Tuesday when our K1 is back already. Okay, make sure I understand it. Thank you. Yes, they will do the regular schedule with their kids. Well, take that back. They'll follow. Yeah, they'll have the morning meeting and we'll go from there. So yes, from what I understand, they're just going to roll the same schedule. Any other questions?
I'm sorry, Mr. Gomez, I can't remember which reaction you said to use to raise the hand.
It should just say raise hand if it's there, but you
Okay.
go for it.
Thanks. So with Tanner being in 2nd or 3rd grade and Paisley being in 1st, for me to pick her up Monday and Tuesday, he's going to have to miss some of math, or a good chunk of math, because they'll still be in math at 11, but I have to pick her up around 10:50 to 11. Or just let Miss Newsom know and that should be fine? Or have we thought kind of how that's going to work with kids in the split siblings?
So their dismissal time should be the same.
Well, because Tanner is still going to be online Monday and Tuesday. So just Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, just for those first 2 days?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, you can just work that out with them. That should be fine.
Okay, thanks.
Of course. If a child is like misses a bus or something happens, we want them at school, so bring them. And then if anybody's late, we do ask that they come through the main entrance and to come to the office so that we can help them get to class. So I showed that map of the different entry points for different grades, but if you're late, we want kids to come through the main office doors. So our teachers, we don't have directional signs, but there's dots on either side of the hallway, and we will be teaching our students to be on the right-hand side the whole time. PE and music is going to be run just like it is currently. So PE teacher and music teacher will be pushing out the content and activities for them to do during the time that they're at home. And then to confirm, yes, we will have somebody there for Paisley. So we ask that stay in the car until one of the instructional assistants gets there to help. Library, I'm talking with our librarian about how we're going to do this. There might be some time where we can do some things during the recess time, but students will not be allowed to actually go into the library because they can't hold all the books and all that stuff. But talked with her about how we can do a mobile library into the classroom. So we're working on that. The pickup, scheduling a pickup time will continue. So regardless of how we do it at school, that can still continue to do a pickup because our students that are online still will have to have that process for them. So you can still schedule time to pick it up. No, we will have paper at school for students to do their work. Regarding paper, what we're trying to do is alleviate paper going back and forth from school to home and then back to school. So we may send things home from school and then the student may be asked to take a picture of it when it's completed or something like that. But for the most part, we're trying to alleviate the back and forth part of it. There is a list of school supplies. So during the teachers may have sent it out. It's also in our weekly bulletin that we send out on Fridays. So that was sent out last Friday. And then we'll send it again this Friday, tomorrow. It'll go out tomorrow. And is it on the website? It's on the and it's on our website, so you can look on the website for that. Denise, do you want to answer that one? How will the staff know which student belongs to which car? Oh, should we make? Oh, so earlier we have signs that we're going to give parents to write on. They're actually pretty cool. They kind of attach to your visor, and you just flip your visor down, and it has all the information on it. So you don't need necessarily to make those. We'll have the sign for you.
Did you want me to answer about the bus, or is that what you just said about?
I haven't got to that question yet. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm on to Miko's question.
Okay.
The iPad, most of the instruction in person when we're in person will be in-person instruction. They will they still use the iPad? Yes, just because they'll have to have refreshers to make sure they know what they're doing if they have to use it on Wednesdays and so forth. But it will be, I think you'll find that it'll be significantly less than it was. Great question, Brian. So our plan is that we told our bus drivers that they don't get to open the doors when they get to school until a grown-up greets that bus. And especially with our K-1 students coming to school for the first 2 days, that adult will then escort those students to class. So we will take care of them for sure. And when they get off the bus, Brian, we will not let any of our kinder or first grade students get off the bus unless there's a grown-up waiting there for them. And so the bus driver, if they don't see the grown-up there, they're going to drive that student back to school. Should they bring? Yes, they need to bring their iPads to school. We're asking them to go back and forth to start with.
Can I also say something about the bus?
Yeah.
We will be putting tags on the students' backpacks, so that will also help with staff knowing what bus number they're on, or how they're, if they're a parent pickup, walkers, and we'll be providing that and having that all ready to go on the first day.
Yeah, Brian, we know that you don't need to apologize for obvious questions at all. They're not that obvious sometimes, and we spend take a lot of attention for our kindergarten students because we know it's new. Lunch pickup, how that works and is at the end of the day, whether AM or PM cohort, either one, we have some instructional assistants that will bring lunches to the classroom and then give those lunches to the student and make sure they get put in their backpacks. Those lunches include actually breakfast and lunch. So if you're an AM cohort student, you're going to get your breakfast, lunch that at the end of the day. When you get home, you can eat your lunch, and then you're going to save the breakfast for the next morning. If you're a PM cohort, you're going to get your breakfast and lunch at the end of the day, and you're going to save it until the next day for breakfast for that morning, and then eat your lunch before you come to school. You don't necessarily need to put funds in there because this is open to everybody right now, and it's being funded in a different way. So. Anything else? The staff have been super busy this week, really excited to have our kids come back. They will not. With the number of students that are on there, they feel pretty confident that they can manage it. They think because the less number of students and students basically having a seat all by themselves, that it'll be easier to manage than having 60 students on there. Now they can have up to 22. We can have more than 22 if there's family members. Family members can sit in the same seat, but other than that, they'll have their own seat. No, they're not allowed to have their breakfast or anything in class. Snacks we are having done at recess, so when they go outside, there's time built in where they can have their snack outside. And the reason for that is to eat, you have to take your mask off, and so we're trying to make sure that we're doing that outside. So snack will be outside during recess, but no breakfast or lunch in class. We have, regarding the mask, we don't necessarily have lanyards that are to secure those on there. We just will, hopefully they don't fall off. Actually, I never thought about that, to be honest with you, about having anything to secure the mask to the student. So, but we don't have that. I'm just doing wait time as people are thinking if they have other questions. All right. Thanks, Tamiko. That's very nice of you. Thanks, Melissa. And if there's other questions that come up, a lot of times after I go to a meeting or do something, as I'm driving home or sitting there, other questions pop up, don't hesitate to email and ask. glad to hear it. I'm glad that the family, hopefully those family transition nights with your teachers was helpful. Well, since we're not getting necessarily any more questions, we will sign off. Thanks for coming. Again, if anything pops up, don't hesitate to reach out. Hope you have a wonderful spring break. We got one more day and then of, I think, not so great weather, but hopefully the weather turns for the better for us and over spring break. So again, thanks and have a great night.